Hola a todos. Están escuchando Sport and Convos con Eddie y Mike. Soy yo, Mike. Estoy aquí con mi amigo. That's
Buenos noches, Senor Pickering.
It's like, what's up, y'all? With the Commanders in Spain this week,
Hi.
I've just been throwing a little Spanish flair on everything, even my name, Mike de Southwest. But yeah, they're over there. They're practicing. They're having a good time or whatever. Even though the season's been trash, but we'll talk about that in their upcoming game versus the Dolphins. We'll also talk about the coaching staff, man. Like, because it's been a bad season, yeah, heads are rolling. I'm telling you that. We'll also talk about the Daron Payne punch. It was just a ridiculous situation all around, and all parties involved. We'll talk about that. The stadium, they're still demolishing RFK right now. If you're down DC or in DC and you happen to be around East Capitol Street or 295, swing past or look over, and you'll see that they're still knocking it down. That should be completely down in a couple of months. We'll talk about that and our wants and needs and don't wants for the new stadium. And yeah, should be a good quick show for y'all. But yeah, what's happening, bro? How you been doing?
Doing all right, Just happy to be here. Another day above ground. So, you know, could always be worse.
Could always be worse. Oh, the shutdown ended, y'all. So
Well,
everybody's going back
pay
to
my
work.
man Mike.
Oh yeah, the direct deposits are coming. The direct deposits are coming. But
Those of you who are seeing rounders, just think of my man John Malkovich when he looks at Matt Damon, and then looks at I don't know why this like tough guy's name is Grandma, but that's his name. It's weird. He looks at Grandma and he goes, "Pay him his money." That's
oh
what
yeah,
I'll need to hear.
um,
Pay him his money.
pay that man his money.
Check, 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 check. Pay him his money.
I need to watch that
Anyway,
show. It's been a minute
according
since I watched it.
to Mike.
Speaking of paying that man his money, let's get to these coaches because they're going to get a lot of severance pay for their services and a lot of luck on their future endeavors, bro. Because I'm telling you, it's going down this all season. So I'm gonna just let you start it. Who exactly is on the hot seat? We know whose seat is the hottest. He doesn't even have his seat anymore. He's standing up right now.
Yeah.
If that's who you want to start. Matter of fact, I'll just start with him. Joe Witt Jr. Like, Dan Quinn already took his play calling abilities away from him. So it's the writing's on the wall. I just feel like over the last, what are we at, 29 games now? Like, the defense has gotten progressively worse. I don't know if it's a him thing. I don't know if it's a player thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking around the league, and honestly, outside of the Bengals and I guess the Cowboys, the defenses, while bad, aren't horrible. And I just feel like with the talent on this team, I've seen coordinators come here with lesser talent and still produce. And I just feel like he's not it. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen Sunday with Dan Quinn calling the plays, but we'll talk about that when we preview the Dolphins. But I'm just saying, bro, his seat is super, super hot right now. And if he comes back next year, I'm going to have a serious problem with it. No cap.
Why? I don't understand why. Why is he not gone now? And I listen. I'm saying that because you already said it. Dan Quinn's calling the defense now. What is it he's doing that is going to contribute? And I don't like. I'm asking that sincerely. I'm not
Right.
saying it from a necessarily critical standpoint. I mean, look, what's been on the field has been on the field. Like that. That speaks for itself, and it's a real bummer because I think. All right. when we were at full strength, we looked pretty solid, but there were some risk taken, i.e., the Bobby Wagners and some of the other older guys on the team, thinking like, hey, we're just going to kind of try to improve from what we had last year, which, like, no duh, that's what everybody's trying to do. But what I mean is they didn't do it the right way, so to speak. Like,
Right.
there's not a lot of depth. They weren't prepared for, the injuries. And I'll be honest, at this point, I don't know that you can expect a lot. Like there might be this, like, sort of like the way the Chiefs game began, might be a little bit like that where you see us really fired up. But I
Right.
just don't really think you're gonna see like any sort of big improvement or change, for the simple fact that now it's the players. But initially it was the coaches. It's been well documented on a certain Sporting Convos show that there's no adjustments. There's no like, oh, this isn't working. Like, instead of running your head into a brick wall over and over again. I mean, that's what's going on. We have a defensive minded head coach, and between him and the rest of his defensive staff, like, we're just not seeing it. Sure, the Quan Martins and Sandra Stills, Amos, Wagner, Dorrance Armstrong before he got injured, Wise, especially before he got injured. Kinlaw is having a great year. So there's individual success. Daron Payne has been just a stalwart year in and year out. So I don't want to take away from those individual guys who are playing well, but collectively, it's just not there, and you're not seeing any adjustment. And I'll be honest, I don't want to keep changing coaching staffs, but really, Dan Quinn's coaching, listen, I would not be surprised if we get to a point where everybody's like, hey, fire Quinn and elevate Cliff Kingsbury. Because right now, it seems like Cliff and the offensive staff are the only ones who are really doing anything. And at times, that's not really saying much. Like, sure, like the Chargers game, some of the adjustments they made that you saw in the Kansas City game, and even this past week where we're giving guys like Sinnott and Bates some more looks. We're trying to do some different things now, finally. And even still, like, Cliff has kind of always gotten, I think, most of the credit for what we've done because, I mean, I get it. Jaden does a lot on the fly, but if you think back, all these different play designs that he's putting out there, a lot of success we have even with Mariota. Who gets most of the credit? Cliff. So I think, really, it's Witt, and he's going to have to be the sacrificial lamb. But then I think that, like, Quinn is not far behind him, and I hate saying it. I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to be this thing where, like, we maybe rush to get rid of Quinn because, like I said, at this point, it's the personnel. I kind of rambled. My apologies.
Nah, you're good. And yeah, I feel like it's definitely a mix because even when we were healthy, like it just wasn't working. Yeah, it's not even necessarily with himself as much as it is the philosophy that he brings to the table. Sometimes I just feel like a lot of times the players they're not in position to even have a chance. We've seen plenty of times, like everybody likes to bring up that play against the Seahawks. No, I'm sorry, against the Lions. It was 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 or whatever it was. And there was 3 Lions on one side and only 2 Commanders. And everybody kept showing highlights and screenshots and captures of all that. And I'm like, bruh,
it's embarrassing.
I was saying the same thing 3 weeks ago. When we played not 3 weeks ago, but like a little over a month ago when we played the Falcons. But John was wide open on 3rd and 2, I think. The nearest defender was like 15 yards off him. And that just seemed like I've been saying stuff like that way too much with calling the plays. So yeah, it's just, and honestly, I can't even think of another coach, both on the defensive side or offensive side, that I can fully like say is close to the hot seat outside of him and Quinn. And it's based off of what you said, him being the head coach.
Well, it's the reason
previous success.
Been fired. Sorry to talk over you, Mike. The reason why all the guys who would maybe be more on the hot seat than Quinn, they've already been fired. That's why. So like
Oh, oh, you
Dayball,
talking about the head coaches?
yeah,
No, I'm
that's what
talking
I'm saying.
about I'm just talking about the Commanders. I ain't even worried about other
Oh,
teams.
excuse me, my bad.
Um, nah, you're good. Like I really don't think you need to do too much because I don't think it's necessarily one position struggling. I think it's the entire defense. Now, we could talk more about this in the off season, but it's like I'm curious to see which way Dan Quinn is going to go. Is he going to come back with the current staff and maybe bring in a new defensive coordinator? And I've been banging the Al Harris drum since we hired Quinn. I've been trying to get Al Harris here, and he has the secondary in Chicago rocking just like he did when he was in Dallas. And I'm like, it's time to make that call, Quinn.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
there's another route. Will Quinn just go with a completely different coordinator that runs his same schemes and philosophies, and that coordinator brings in an entire new crew? I just feel like one of those options needs to be done. We just can't do what we've been doing. Also, I feel like the team needs to upgrade the safety position and the linebacker position, and
Oh yeah.
definitely bring in some explosion at edge rusher.
Yeah.
The person, I can't remember his name, that they signed from the 49ers. He was injured a lot. Is it Deion Jackson? Um, can't remember his name, but he was activated for the 21-day practice window today, and I think maybe he can come in. Drake Jackson, I'm sorry, that's his name. So yeah, they could bring in Drake Jackson, and we'll see if he could bring in some explosion to that position.
I mean, they need something. They need whether it's a linebacker or even if it's a D tackle. I mean, edge is kind of the obvious one. Having somebody like a Miles Garrett. I mean, I get it. That's not somebody who just is in every single draft in almost every single round or something like that. But they need somebody that the other team is like, where's that guy at? Another example actually, Kyle Hamilton for the Baltimore Ravens. So I get that he certainly doesn't have necessarily the impact that Miles Garrett does, but then at the same time, the way Baltimore uses him and kind of moves him around and kind of like, he's like a heat sinking missile, almost like a weapon, almost kind of like the way LaRon Landry was for a very brief moment under the Greg Williams scheme. So yeah, I mean, like I think that's what they need. But honestly, I know you guys. I know it's going to sound crazy because we just were like so critical and everything. I would like to see us. Let's keep the staff together. Okay, keep the staff together, and then let's see what happens when we add. Maybe a really good edge rusher, and this could be added via free agency. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that we do in the draft. Because I would like to see us in the draft. I'd actually like to see us maybe continue to focus on O line, but then also definitely attack the linebacker and DB position. So
That was good. At least the last couple of seconds sounded. Computer cut off, man. I don't. This it keep happening. But
technology can't
anyway,
live with it. It can't die.
let's just let's just go ahead and move on to the next topic. Daron Payne had a very interesting
Major pain.
5 days. 5 days. So let's just go through the chronological order of the actual stories themselves, and
There
not
we go.
necessarily what happened, the situation. Let's just go as the event. It's the stories themselves were revealed. Daron Payne gets ejected. I think it was after the 2 point conversion. He throws a punch at Amon-Ra St. Brown, gets ejected. And we're all like, man, why the heck did he punch that man? That seems odd. They just randomly swung a punch at him. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. Get him out of here. He got ejected. After the game, DC's own Javon Kinlaw, he says Amon-Ra punched Payne first. And there was some sucker stuff. And the ref saw it. He said it. The ref saw it. So this was Sunday afternoon. Monday morning, Daron Payne gets suspended. He is not traveling to Spain. Devastating. He appeals it, loses the appeal. A video comes out. It's kind of grainy. You can't see it. Daron Payne is the end of the play. Daron Payne walking back to the huddle. Amon-Ra standing in front of him, pushes him out the way. Amon-Ra pushes him back. Payne gets in his face. Amon-Ra pushes him again. Payne pushes him back. Amon-Ra swings and punches Payne. The ref, already looking at the situation, sees the punch, walks over, no flag thrown, breaks the fight up. Amon-Ra Daron Payne posted it on his Instagram and say, oh, okay. Amon-Ra, who previously said that he didn't do anything, suddenly admits, yeah, he did swing.
Mike, stop. Hold on. Oh, Mike.
Now it's Thursday night, and we're on Eddie and Mike talking about it.
So look, I'm sorry to interrupt you. All of a sudden, he did swing. Look what it says under my name, right? FO Couch. No, I didn't mess up Eddie Murphy's couch. Yeah, I messed up Eddie Murphy's couch. That's what Amon-Ra St. Brown just did. No, I didn't swing on him. Yeah, I swung on him. So what?
My bad. So what I like is Payne's reaction justified, and your overall thoughts on the situation?
Okay, so much to unpack here because I feel like somehow there's a little bit more to this. First of all, and I'm going to come back to this at the end just to reiterate it. The second person always gets caught, whether you're on the playground or, whether we're talking like retaliation in soccer, things of that nature, or hockey. Those are both sports where that kind of tends to happen a lot. Second person's always going to get caught. Another thing I'll never understand. I mean, it's a violent game, so tempers are going to flare. That happens. But I never understand why these dudes are punching each other with helmets on. Like, it just seems kind of dumb. Now, back to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who seems to literally have a beef with like 90% of the people on the planet because they might have been drafted before him in some sort of way, in some sort of league that might or might not exist. Remember, he had a problem with Dyami Brown, who didn't draft himself, but that's why he had a problem with him, because Dyami Brown was drafted ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown, which Dyami Brown had no control over. Anyway, having said that, going into the game, Daron Payne kind of, and you can say it was a tactic. I have no clue, but he's like, I've never heard of him. Now, the argument was that like sometimes in the sport, unless you're like a top 10, which you can maybe argue Amon-Ra St. Brown is like, he's not in that Jefferson, Jamar Chase kind of category. And maybe Daron Payne pays more attention to O linemen that he goes against, D linemen that he plays with. And that's the way he views the game. That if you're not, like I said, Myles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball, I know Ed Reed doesn't play anymore, but people of that magnitude. And so that's what he was saying. So I'm sure St. Brown took offense to it. Again, the second person always gets caught. Payne is a defensive captain, and I'm not going to front because this is what I would do if I was an O lineman for the Lions. The minute I saw St. Brown hit him, I would be in Daron Payne's ear, instigating it the whole time. Like, bro, he punched you and you ain't do nothing? Oh, man. I'd never let that slide. Like, and then, like, not to whatever. Sorry if I cross any lines, but if I was African American, I'd be like, Daron Payne, like, I'm gonna say Brown's light skinned, bro. You gonna let a light skinned dude do that to you? I don't know. Like, to me, I love the culture. I think jokes like that are funny. So my bad if I cross the line. Anyway, but yeah, like you just got to think of it from that perspective. Like these dudes are hitting each other over and over again. Tempers are gonna flare. Um, Payne's got to know better because the second person always gets caught. But now that it's come out, I think I think St. Brown should be fined. I think he really should.
At the very least.
Suspended because it's kind of like I don't know how to like. I know it sounds weird, especially because it doesn't go in favor of my guy. But yeah, you're pumping in the audio.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I know it is going against my guy, my team, but I just feel like at this point, everything that's happened, like Payne's already been suspended. You got to at least fine Amon-Ra St. Brown. And as far as like that does kind of bum me out because in the video it does show how like the ref is right there, But I think a lot of it is just we talked about this last week. Lions wanted to get at us. They wanted to beat up on us for what happened in the what would that be? The NFC regional final
Divisional.
divisional. There we go.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they wanted payback for what happened in the playoffs last year. And so they were giving us the business, running all. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs had himself a day, and St. Brown did all right. They got to know better, And Kinlaw, he got in trouble as well. I think he hit a ref. I don't know if he meant to do it. It might have been on accident, but he got
I
ejected.
mean,
And
it was one of them days where like they just seemed like they could and I think that's the real reason Dan Quinn took over because they just had no composure. They were just
well, and
all over the place.
that's a great point. You got to feel like coaching, especially if hey, I'm coming down to the sideline now. Like, wouldn't that be part
They get worse
right now? Yeah, my goodness.
but I mean, yeah, like I said, Payne. Even though Brown swung first, even though the refs weren't right there, Payne as a veteran knows better, and you got to compose yourself. And like I said to someone else the other day or whatever, like that's a conversation you have after the game, bro. In the middle of the field, they'll let you throw a couple of punches before they pull you off or whatever. That fine, I'm pretty sure, would be lesser than an ejection and then a suspension. And like I said, like, yeah, that's a see me after the game type of conversation. And yeah, like it sucks because he cost his family, I think his family and friends, a trip to Spain because he wasn't able to control his emotions. Now he might have had to pay for it, so he probably like, oh, I'm saving a little bit of money or whatever. But yeah, like you gotta control your emotions, you gotta keep your composure. That's a lesson for everybody in life.
Sure.
Don't let your emotions get out of hand uh, because it can cause problems for yourself definitely, but those around you. And like I said, I feel sorry for the people around him that can't go just as much as I feel sorry for him. And yeah.
Well, and now people are going to be trying him. They're going to try to bait him.
I mean, let's be fair, bro. We're talking about the man that got punched by his own teammate on national TV a couple of years ago. So if he can survive that, he can survive this.
All I'm saying is they're gonna try him. So
speaking of surviving, honestly, bro, I don't. at least I try not to believe in superstitions and things like that. Forgive me, Father. Um, try not to believe in curses and all that. But
So glad
I
you brought.
think
Go
a
ahead.
large part of what's happening or what has happened with Washington over the last 28 years has been related to the stadium. I mean, it has that area. And I love Landover. Like my aunt grew up. My aunt lived in Glenarton, which isn't too far from Landover Mall, and yeah, like the area in the '90s before the stadium got there, it was cool. Palmer Park isn't too far from the stadium either, so like I really like grew up in that area, lived in that area. I mean, not lived in it, well, kind of lived in it, but like because my sister was in Kentland, so like I know the area. But all I'm saying is, when it comes to the football team and that stadium, it just feels like nothingness. Like I've been to a couple of football stadiums and comparing Atlanta Stadium and Indianapolis Stadium to FedEx Field, it's not even funny. Like it's not even funny.
Yeah.
So I am ecstatic that they're building a new stadium, and not only that, I'm ecstatic that the people leading these builds. You got Josh Harris, you got Wolf Blisser, two people that grew up in the DMV, so you know the stadium's gonna have a little DMV flair to it. Um, you got money in the house, like you got a lot of investors in the house, including the city of District of Columbia itself. So I'm expecting the stadium to be great. I'm expecting the environment to be great, and that's one of my must-have features, bro. They gotta let the fans be fans, man. Not not let us like go out of control or whatever, but don't don't try to make it um, Staples Center or Madison Square Garden or wherever, where the stadium itself overshadows the fans and the teams. Like it needs to just be one with the fans and the team. So let the fans be fans at the stadium, kind of like the Intuit Stadium or the Intuit Dome that the Clippers built last year or this year or whatever. Um, and outside of that, I just want easy transportation. I don't care about tailgating. I know they're gonna have a spot for tailgating or whatever, but I don't really care too much for that. If you want to have a party for football, have it at your house. Outside of that, young, I just really want the stadium to be good vibes and a lot of winning, and that's all I got for that.
Yeah, so we're structuring to do all of those things. I keep thinking back to Kevin Costner and Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I'm kind of in a mix here. I know there's a real division on whether or not we should have a dome. I think some people they want that sort of, northern elements, the elements element of the game, if that makes sense, element aspect of the game. And so I kind of maybe like sort of the retractable roof kind of thing where you can get the best of both worlds. What I do want is for it to be every sense of a home field advantage. I understand, part of what I'm going to bring up here has to do with climate and more geography than anything. But the Miami Dolphins have a situation where basically the
Right.
other team is in the heat and the Miami Dolphins are in the shade the entire time. I want things like that in every part of the stadium that you can have. That mentality, that sort of way of thinking when you're building it. That is not necessarily has to do with sunlight. I mean, that can be part of it too, but it whether you build it to echo sound or I don't know. I want the ground moving when the other team has the ball so they're off balance. I want
Hey,
thing that we can do legally that gives us an advantage. That's what I want, and I want it to be beautiful and majestic.
this is so messed up, but whatever. They gotta build it so whatever side the team is standing on, and whichever way the wind blows consistently from the Potomac River, that's the side the opposing team
Yes,
should stay.
all of those things. Yes, yes. Mike gets it. I want all of those things, Slim. All of those things, Mo. I want them all.
So,
I want it
but
all. I want all of it. I want
so
us to have
what?
all of it.
What are some like hard stops? I got one hard stop that people really don't care about, but when you get older, you're going to care about it, or when you start getting season tickets or whatever. But it's this thing called PSLs, personal seat license, that a lot of new stadiums and owners are doing. And unfortunately, I don't think it's anything that we're going to be able to stop. But basically, PSLs is a license to purchase season tickets, meaning you have to pay money to buy the tickets. I
Oh,
think
hell.
it's the lamest thing ever. I don't know how they're getting away with it, but nonetheless, they are getting away with it. And outside of that, there's really not much else I can say I don't want, because I'm not going there every Sunday. I don't care what they do for real. But I guess I can say make it harder for opposing fans to come, especially with DC being such a transient city. But I don't think they're going to be able to stop that. And honestly, they'll be foolish too. Like this season, um, if the team ain't playing well and the fans already bought the tickets, there ain't really much else you can do. You got the money already, so hey, it is what it is. Make the team better, and you won't have this problem.
Yep. Well, first and foremost, just in humorous fashion, which I'll perhaps share this story in a little bit, but one of our fellow fantasy football leaguers, Ron Mexico, he would like for there to be bike racks around the stadium. I just want to throw that part out there.
Oh yeah, that it's. I think it's bike racks at FedEx or Northwest Stadium, and with DC
I
being
don't.
such a pedestrian laden city, like the city's architecture, like literally how the city was built, was meant to take into account people walking and people on not necessarily bikes back then, but like a lot of walking for pedestrians or whatever. So with DC being one of the greener cities in the country, ironically, I can guarantee you, Ron, that there'll be bike
Oh, yeah.
bike not even bike like parking spots or whatever, but probably whole stations for bikes around each part of the stadium.
So I say that jokingly. I'm pretty sure it's a Snyder thing because Snyder was trying to like turn a buck every which way possible and was. But he basically he's been in our league for a while, and I guess at some point he wrote a letter asking him like if they would put bike racks up because he wanted to ride his bike to the stadium, and it did not go over well. He's not. I'm pretty sure he's a sort of like a weird Ravens Eagles kind of fan.
Oh,
Um,
because of that.
well, I think it's all like he grew up in Pennsylvania, but then I think he lives in
Oh,
Maryland, and so weird space. But there's not really much in the way of don'ts for me. I listen. I'm not gonna ever not be a fan. I would, there's not going to be necessarily, I mean, outside of prices being super outrageous, there's not going to be something that necessarily stops me from wanting to go to a game either. So I'm not going to be like, oh, that's, deal breaker. But I'd be really bummed if they didn't at least try to have some space for people who want to actually drive to the game and tailgate. I
yeah,
understand
they are.
scarce. I understand that might not be as big as FedEx, certainly, because FedEx has like a ghost town's worth of parking lots. But
I'm gonna keep it a
yeah,
buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
it'd be a bummer if they didn't really,
The
try their
parking,
much as they could.
the parking price when the stadium does open will be outrageous. Like you will need to cough up 200 to park at that stadium once it's open.
Woo.
I promise you that. They're already at like 100 and something right now. So I promise you, by 2028, you're going to need to cough up 200 to park. Having said that, the greatest part about the stadium being built where it's going to be built is that for people like me that don't really care too much for tailgating or whatever and don't want to drive, it's going to be so much easier to catch a train to the game now. So much easier to catch metro buses to the game because you don't even have to get on the train. You can get on the you can get off at Navy Yard, hop on the V7, and it'll take you there. You might have to go on a little walk, but it'll take you there. Um, you can get on the 70, go to Minnesota Avenue, get on the B2. It'll take you there. I'm just saying there'll be ways to get there without driving,
For
and I
sure.
think they probably should limit driving to only people who. Well, no, I can't say that. Handicapping people that want to tailgate. That might help things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's going to be sort of a tight squeeze, but I it'd just be a bummer if they kind of, because that's a big part of football, almost no matter where you go. I get you could argue it might be a little bit more of a college thing, but then different strokes for different folks. Like I've known people who I'm not saying they don't love the team or don't like pay attention and know who players are and blah blah blah, but they're equally about that being a whole day's thing. They get there early, they get the spot, they set up the chairs and get the grill, and they get everything going. And you maybe I guess nowadays it's cornhole, but sometimes people just bring a football and toss that around. You make a whole day of it. Then you go watch the game, you come back, you chill out a little bit because it's going to be traffic leaving FedEx. So at the time it was FedEx. And so, you just chill. But I don't know. Like I said, I know people who made it was a whole day, it was a whole thing. So, other than that, though, no deal breakers at all. I'm super excited. And as I suppose we could use this as a really good transition, I'm kind of wondering, and I this is the one thing where I feel like you should not listen to the fans except people like me who are fans and argue this side of it. Because I feel like the players would be on my side when I say this. I think they got to go real grass. I know that's tough, probably going to be expensive, but I
Why
would.
would it be tough and expensive? They do it for FedEx Field.
Oh well, just you wait when I explain what I'm about to in a minute. It's going to be a perfect transition. But, pardon me, everybody, a little rumbly in my tumbly. But I think you got to go to the coaches and players, and it has to be a consensus of what they want. Now, I get some of the players that are here now that vote on it, they might not be here, and others that come here, they might have a different vote than what was the consensus, and it might have affected it, and this and that. But I think you got to go with what the players want. I kind of feel like real grass is sort of the trend now. I'm pretty sure it's a lot better on the knees and the joints in general. So I just feel like that's what you got to go with. Now, I'm not saying they got to go this route because I have a feeling this would be a huge, huge part of the stadium build that might make it take a lot longer and be a lot more expensive. If you look at the Estadio Santiago Bernabeu, where I believe the Commanders are going to be playing this weekend, that's the home of Real Madrid's soccer team, Real Madrid Club de Football Club, blah, blah, blah. Their grass system, I don't even know what you call it. I need you to understand. They have like retractable field and like they're growing grass underneath the field and it can be added to the field. You guys need to look this up on film. There's a YouTube thing about it. It's similar to like you can go underneath Green Bay's field and they have a mechanism to kind of warm the field up a little bit. Not a lot because you don't want to play around with that stuff, but it keeps the field from being like an absolute ice skating rink, is what I'm basically getting at. They have a system for that. You can go underneath Lambeau Field. I mean, they've had that for quite a while. This is similar, but think of like botany and Mr. Green Thumb, whatever, the whole nine. This is that on like crack, on the limitless drug. Like, I'm not kidding. Look into it. They grow their own grass and they have sort of this process. It's like levels underneath the field where they raise up parts of this grass to like just include it into the field. I don't know that the Commanders would want to go that hardcore, but man, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool.
Nah, I got an idea what you're saying. But yeah, stadium should be built by 2030. I think that's the latest, but they want to open before then because of the Olympic bid. Is it the Olympic bid? I think so. But either way, like it's the stadium is going to get here before you know it. Because think about it,
Yeah.
the pandemic was 5 years ago. Don't feel like it. Do it. Feel
No.
like that whole was yesterday. So
Ah,
it just goes to show how much time flies.
maybe like a week ago. Hit him with that Bobby Schmurder. About a week ago. I
But
know.
yeah,
Totally.
we are. Yeah, we'll be there before you know it, and maybe we'll do Eddie and Mike from whatever they name it. I know what they won't name it, but we don't have to go there at all. Let's not go there.
Bigly. Bigly.
But all right, now let's get to this week's Eddie and Mike Commanders prediction. It's my turn to go first. They are
Do it.
in Spain. They are in Madrid. Like you said, they are at the home of Real Madrid. I don't know the stadium name. Can you repeat it for us one more time?
Uh the Bernabeu is the like that's that's basically what it's known as. And crazy thing is, it just went through a renovation process that I think finished maybe last year or beginning of this year. So it was going on for a while, and it's crazy because like this is how big soccer is. Madrid has like multiple fields, and so they have the one main one that's where they typically play, the Bernabeu. But these other ones are for like their academy clubs and for other things, and they just happen to have them. And so while they were waiting for the Bernabeu to get renovated, etc., they were playing at just a practice field, which was like, I'm not gonna be able to tell you seat numbers, but it's an insane amount of seats. And then the downgrade was like maybe by 15%. Like it's just not like, oh, we got to downgrade to a high school field or whatever. Like, nah, we got a similar one over here, we just don't really use it as much. It's wild. I mean, they,
That's
they
great.
use it, but not, it's wild out
No,
there.
that's
So
crazy. So,
hopefully, like, I don't know. I'm sorry, Mike. I keep doing this to you, but I'm a little excited because at the times I've checked into these international games, Berlin and in I think, was it Ireland? Was it
mhm,
Ireland or Scotland? Because I feel
Ireland with the
like
Steelers
college
and Vikings.
too. Anywho, you look in the stands, and of course, you got people who they might not necessarily know any better, but you get all kinds of jerseys, even the team's not playing. But then you equally see a lot of supporters of the team playing. Some of these people over there are really starting to pick it up. I'm anxious to see if maybe there happens to be a lot of Commanders fans over there, because in soccer or football, you know, a lot of team names, they're very like to the point. So like Commanders, like I would liken it to like Arsenal, the Gunners.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Hopefully, Espanja is on our side. We'll see. What I really hope is that there's not like jet lag or anything like that going on. So
No, you're good. Um, so for I don't know for this was blah, for this week's prediction. I honestly don't know. Like I think I picked Miami to win what 37-24 or something like that on Commanders Classified. Like I just feel like they're playing hard. They're the more talented team on offense. Even with Dan Quinn calling the plays, I just can't see them. Even though I do think Washington may be the better prepared team when it comes to traveling and going on the road and things like that. And with it being an overseas game, I think they'll be better prepared than Miami. But at the end of the day, I just think the talent is going to overtake whatever Washington can do. They lost both of their starting cornerbacks. No Amos, no Lattimore. And I just feel like Waddle is projected to go ham on Sunday morning, Sunday night over there. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of A-Chain and Waddle on Sunday, and it's going to be too much for the Commanders to handle. And like I said, give me 37-23 Miami.
I mean, look, Miami has seemed to kind of get it together. They had that big win in Buffalo, but they're equally a they're a roll of the dice too. Don't get me wrong, no disrespect to A Chain or Jalen Waddle. Those guys are fantastic. I think Tua, if he can like avoid getting concussed, which is like the rest of the world avoiding breathing. Anyway, yeah, he's not bad. He's actually pretty solid. That team tends to click. Uh, Obviously, they're missing Tyreek Hill, and thank God we don't got like if they had him, I would almost say there's no chance. No, I'm not kidding. He would probably take the top off a couple of times, and then we would play so far back they would just kill us with underneath with everybody. You know, so I'm gonna go a little weird here. I was trying to figure out like a 6-7 joke to work in, so that's why I'm still talking, but it's just not working. So I'm gonna go 31-21 Manders. What? Por qué?
Nah, like it really could go either way.
I don't know why those numbers stood out. They kind of like that's just what I was seeing. I was seeing them like I'm dating myself here, but back in the day, you used to have to go up to the chalkboard and you put the numbers on top of each other. And I just saw 31-21. It just, that's the way I saw it. I don't know why. It's just really weird. So that's what's
So
mark it
the
down.
reason, the reason I don't ever like pick a 7 score is because I always feel like teams kick field goals, team go for 2-point conversions now
For
more
sure.
than ever.
Dude,
So
good.
I can't never pick a score that's divisible by 7. I just couldn't. But
So there's a mathematical method to your madness, Mike.
y'all pick whatever score y'all want to pick, and we're
Man.
gonna holler at y'all Bamas next week. Hopefully coming off a W. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Um, I say this with all sincerity, and I don't mean to bum everybody out, but as we enter into the winter, and I'm speaking personally myself, not just about anybody else, but there is such a thing as seasonal depression. And I know sometimes because you might live in an area where it's really cold, you're stuck inside now. And even still, with FaceTime and other forms of communication, people can get maybe a little bummed out with lack of communication or just depressed because of the weather change or a lot of things. Um, we saw what happened with the was he a defensive tackle? Uh, yeah, Cowboys. Was it
Marshawn Nealon.
Marshawn Nealon? Uh, by all accounts, from anybody outside looking in, the man was part of a special teams play where a punt was blocked and he got a touchdown. But then I think within a few days he took his own life. We're I've said it before on the show. We're here for a good time, not a long time, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I think about death a lot, especially now that I'm getting older and I have kids. Please, if there is something going on, talk to somebody. Reach out on the show. I'll give you my number. You can talk to me. I'll listen. So, having said that, to everybody listening, male or female, this is not. I'm not trying to be like gender specific on this, because it's everybody. We all go through stuff. My heart goes out to you, and I'll pray for you. But you're enough. Like I want everybody to understand that you're enough, and we're sports wise, we're entering a great time here with Thanksgiving coming up, and then Christmas. Between NFL and NBA, lots of good games going on. And even if you're not a sports fan, sports is a great way to bring family together. So I just hope everybody's well, man. Mike mentioned the shutdown. There's a lot of crappy stuff going on. And to those who maybe I haven't talked to because of my political stances, I still love you, and I hope you're well. So, with the very longest goodbye, good morning, good night. You're welcome. You're enough.
I agree with all of that. And yeah, be safe, y'all. Hit a bam up if you need to. We'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.
Cheers.